We want to welcome who literally it just came back for a couple of days because of the some major events here, including the New York dinner last night. We want to welcome back Major General Padan, who's come to the States, who is turning around, heading back to Israel, heading back to the various brigades and battalions on the South. Major General Padan, thank you for joining us here in New York. And thank you for everything you're doing for the IDF. Thank you for everything you're doing for the Friends of the IDF.
Thank you. Appreciate it. If I have to speak about what's going on right now in Israel, regardless of the fact that we're hosting the president of the US, and it's like put everything on pause for a few hours, we're dealing with the, I would say, three levels of this war for the last few hours. We're dealing with the border of Israel, between Israel and Lebanon, with Hezbollah. Last night they challenged us again with anti-tank missiles and mortars. So they keep themselves inside a picture of this war, although they are trying to do whatever they can without crossing the red line that will lead Israel to a massive attack against Lebanon so far. We'll keep our main effort at the south, cleaning the whole area, the whole belt of Gaza from all the terrorists that are still hiding there. To my belief, if there is any terrorists that are still hiding, shading inside this area, it is a one or maybe two terrorists. That the area is pretty clean. The IDF already went back and forth and cleaned most of the areas, but you never know. It's a huge area with a lot of bushes and a lot of place to hide. I can never tell 100% that there is no terrorists hiding there. But as far as we can say, the IDF hold the border between Israel and Gaza, and parallel to that, keep and continue the massive Air Force strike against military targets inside Gaza Strip. The IDF dealing with civilian challenges, with pushing the people of Gaza Strip south to the Gaza River, so they won't put themselves under arm, and they will let the IDF deal with the military targets, with the terrorist targets at the north part of Gaza Strip without collateral damages, while the Hamas, on the other hand, try to use them as human shield and try to prevent them from going to safeties, to areas that organized, by the way, by the UN with the support of the IDF. In the south part of Gaza Strip, there is running water. There is camps that support and organized by the UN with drugs, with every support that human being needs. And we saw what happened the last few days. We saw Hamas, for example, shooting toward Ashkelon of their own citizens. They're trying to move to the south, trying to block them by fire. And he killed almost 70 Palestinians from his own people. And we saw how they use those people as human shield, while their own families, while the families of the leaders of Hamas hiding in bunkers and they aren't safe. They're using other families very cynically as human shield. That's terrifying to see. Even they are our enemies. And the last thing that we start dealing with over the last few days is the propaganda and all this fake story that's been published over the last few hours and days from Gaza. And the main story that we dealt over the last 24 hours is the story about the hospital at the north part of Gaza City that been hit by failure launch of rocket of the Islamic Jihad. They know that it's been hit by their own missiles. The IDF spokesperson already published their conversation that describe what's going on there and describe that they found out that it's their own missile. But although they know the fact, they published that Israel targeted hospital and killed 500 people. First of all, the numbers are a bit different. There is a little less than 200 people that have been killed there. It's a lot. That have been killed by their own missiles. And they just, initiate movement of people all around us in Jordan, in Turkey, in Egypt, and other places that went out in the street to protest against the way that Israel dealing with the challenge of fighting against Hamas in Gaza Strip. Thank God we publish all the facts. It takes time for IDF spokesperson because not like our enemy, we are checking ourselves and make sure that the things that are published are the truth, the real thing that happened on the ground. Today, been published by by Channel 12 from Israel, video that show exactly the time and what happened in Gaza. And we already heard the president of the U.S. said after the IDF showing the intelligence and what we have in our hand, that that the one that attacked the hospital is the Islamic Jihad and Hamas. We're going to face those kind of story, and it's part of the war. Few hours from now, the day after, the Hamas will try to feed people all around the world with fake news that tell stories about the suffering of the people in Gaza. They're suffering all right, but they're suffering mainly because of him. They're suffering because he doesn't let them to go to safety. They're suffering because he used them cynically as human shields. So when we hear stories about families that are suffering in the north part of Gaza, we have to remember who is responsible for it. While Hamas is targeting the center of the city of Israel, trying to kill as much citizens as it can, while Hamas murder babies, eldest people in wheelchair, while Hamas burned people alive, the IDF didn't lose their values. We didn't lose our Jewish value. We're fighting very toughly the Hamas, the terror organization, but without losing our value. We're picking our target very meticulously. We're trying to avoid as much as we can collateral damages. And it's tough, I must tell you, it's tough when your enemy using his own people as human shield. We know that. We don't see the people of Gaza our enemy. We're seeing the terror group, Hamas, the Islamic Jihad, it's the Salafiyah, all those terror, horrible organization as our enemy, and we're targeting them, not people, not eldest people, not babies. We're doing as much as we can to avoid collateral damage, as I mentioned. So when you're listening to the news, remember and put the right filter in front of you. Listen to the IDF spokesperson. Listen to us. We're bringing the voice of Israel. We're speaking to the leadership of Israel about what's going on and delivering the information directly from them. Regardless of everything that happened militarily, we have hotline and connection to the Minister of Defense and to the leadership of Israel every few hours to check what are the needs and support the men and women, the brave men and women that protect our country in any way we can. And we'll let you know what are the real needs of the IDF. We'll deliver the voice of the IDF here at the US in Panama for our supporter, so we will be at the same page and we know what we can do to make it different, what we can do to support those young men and women that protecting the Israel right now, and by that, the Jewish people all over the world.
General Padan, thank you very much for that briefing. One of the questions that many have asked is that, so to speak, the Gaza River, as you described, is the area where they've asked, the IDF has asked all Palestinian civilians to go south of that Gaza River. The question people are asking is there not terror tunnels? Is there not, so to speak, a Gaza subway in cities like Rafiah and cities that are further south, like Khan Yunis, etc.? And how will the IDF be able to deal with the terror infrastructure, the infrastructure that Hamas has built up over the last 20-some years, when all of those civilians are south of the Gaza River?
So Unfortunately, the Hamas built his tunnel all over Gaza Strip, in Rafah, at the center of Gaza Strip, at the camp at the center of Gaza Strip, in Gaza City, all over Gaza Strip. And they have storages, terrorists, launcher, anti-tank missiles all over Gaza Strip. But, you know, we cannot push the people of Gaza Strip to Egypt or to the sea. We have to make sure that there is area that they can be safe in, and by that focusing at the area that are considered to be a military zone, and that will let us freedom of operation to deal with. And later on, we'll have to ask the people move back to the north and deal with the south. So it's doesn't describe the old challenge that we have in Gaza Strip. It describes the modular plans of the IDF to deal separately with each part. So we will, as I mentioned before, avoid collateral damage.
What about the northern front? Obviously, the United States has brought from the Arabian Gulf 2 major carriers, not just the USS Ford, but another major carrier. When you take a carrier ship like that, there's a whole series of naval escorts, and you have a large part of the American Sixth Fleet now in the Mediterranean, now focused on Lebanon. If you could develop for us, Major General Padan, a little bit about what that means, what the role of America is, and what you see in, as you've described it many times to us, as a very fragile situation on the northern border.
So the IDF and Israel are not need the support to deal with Hamas. Hamas is the local challenge of the IDF and Israel, and we can deal with it. We can deal even with Hamas and Hezbollah together. It's not that we want to deal with them together. We prefer to deal with each one of them separately, but we can deal with them together. The existence of the US, and by the way, without sending ship yet, the involvement of the Chinese and the Russian and other superpower, because right now we're dealing with strategic situation that the Iranian try to reshape the structure of the Middle East by operating with their proxies all over the Middle East. The Houthi in Yemen, the Shia militia in Iraq and Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon. Nowadays, the Palestinian terror group from the Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamic Jihad, and Hamas. And by that, reshape the situation in the Middle East, fighting movement of what we used to call the moderate Arab country, like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, to the west side of the world. We were, to remind all of us, about to sign an agreement with Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago. That was a huge threat to the strategic will of the Iranian to control the Middle East, to launch the idea of Shia all over the Middle East. So the US presented at the Middle East are not dealing with the needs of the IDF to defeat Hamas in Gaza Strip. They are there to make sure that the interest of the US and the Middle East will keep, that they'll prevent the Iranian from launching their plans to take over and control the Middle East. And that's significantly important. We have to understand that we're dealing right now not with Hamas, we're dealing with the Iranian effort to change the basic structure and the situation in the Middle East. And that is strategic change for the US and for the whole world.
The statement that America's making publicly by President Biden, who's obviously physically frail, but to him to travel halfway across the world and to say that America's with Israel, the fact that, as we mentioned, the USS Ford and its whole fleet of ships that come with it, that they've come to the Mediterranean. So this is something that from a point of view of Israel has to be viewed as a very positive thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's significantly important, especially those days, that the spirit of the Israeli citizens are at the deep. And to hear it from our best friend and from the leader of the free world, it's significantly important. It's significantly important for the mental and the spirit of the citizens of Israel and the soldier of the IDF. It's significantly important for the leadership of Israel, and it's significantly important as a message to all those that cooperating with the Iranian and sees the challenges of Israel as weakness that they can use to move forward with their goals and effort at the Middle East. It's a strong and important message, and again, the most important ear that have to listen to those messages are the ears of the leadership of the Iranian. It's I think that by a lot of men, the president of the U.S. targeted those leadership as the one that to them is sent them those messages, parallel to everything that is done for Israel, which is amazingly important.
As we speak, and this is also something that America is publicizing, as the general said, to the ears of Iran, there are literally planes and planes, cargo planes, leaving American army bases, leaving munitions manufacturers that are traveling to Israel, supplying Israel, preparing Israel in the event that it's a multi-phased war. As the general mentioned, if Hezbollah joins in, if the Shia militia in Western Iraq and Syria joins in, that Israel should not be without the weapons, both defensive and offensive. And this is also a crucial statement, not only to Israel, but it's a statement to Iran. Major General Padan, as you're about to embark to go back into military fatigues, going back into the battle scene, back into the South with the troops, are there any last words that you want to share with the friends of the IDF and the listeners before we speak to you this 2 days from now? We'll be speaking to you Friday in a briefing, but any thoughts you want to share with us over the next 48 hours?
So I must tell that the support and the effort of all of you are here and seen in Israel, and it's significantly important. It's vital for soldier to be spiritual and know that he's doing the right thing, and he's got the back of the Jewish people behind him, not only in Israel but all over the world. So we're doing an amazing job recharging the spirit of the soldier before the next stage of the war. And I must tell you, it's going to be a long war. So we have to be patient, and we have to give the support to our soldier for the next few weeks. And it's going to be a huge challenge over the next 3-4 weeks to explain to the world why we're doing what we're doing. So from a lot of perspective, we're not only focusing on what happened in Israel, we have to remember to deliver what's happened in Israel to our communities here in the US, and make sure that the support that every Western country gives to Israel will continue, and we'll have the ability and the freedom to achieve our goal and mission in Gaza Strip, while after 2 weeks, and especially after we'll start have ground maneuver on the ground, we'll have tough stories and tough picture to deal with, and we need you all to be the voices of Israel, the voices of the Jewish people, and remember who started this war and with whom we're dealing with. That's one thing. The other thing is I'm hearing and dealing with a lot of noise of people, good people, that trying to send support to Israel, that hears needs from the soldier on the ground. Those are authentic voices, I know. Some of you have a lone soldier in Israel that call them and tell them of needs. in Israel, the north or the south, I can tell you that right now there is mess with lots of requests and people to try to help, do their best, but instead of helping, they are disturbing, they are stealing the time that the leadership doesn't have. The leadership have to be focused on winning the war, and we are trying to let the leadership of the IDF and of the MOD the freedom and the quiet to be focused on achieving the goals and winning this war. We're trying to reach to the right branches and the right division that's responsible for the needs of the IDF and bring those real voice and real priority from Israel to our supporter here in the US. So for all of us, if we really want to help, if we really want to make a difference, we have to listen to the one that needs the help, to the one that set the priority, to the one that's gonna make the decision, it's gonna take us to win this war. That's what we're doing. I spoke to the leadership of the IDF the last few days, and I'll keep speaking to them today and probably tomorrow and the day after. And I'll do my best to deliver the real priority to the US. We have a hotline between the office in Israel and what's going on here at the office in New York. And the list and the request of the IDF are the most relevant, are the top priority, and are the real voice of the needs of the IDF. So listen to the brief and to the list that have been published by the FIDF. We're representing the authentic voice of our commander in Israel.
Thank you.